Good afternoon, councillors, officers and members of the public that are tuning in. I declare this meeting open. And in doing so, I acknowledge this is Wadandi Noongar Budja, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I have no announcements today. And I believe we're all here, apart from Councillor Steck at the moment. Councillor Brown has declared a proximity interest with respect to item 11.4.1 and will not participate when we discuss that matter. Are there any further declarations of interest, councillors? Thank you. Can I have someone move we suspend those relevant standing orders, please?
Happy to move, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Hayward, seconder. Councillor McCleary. All in favour. Now push those little buttons, councillors.
The Mayor, since the agenda came on, they've disappeared.
You can still click participants. Councillor Hayward's on. I'm on. Councillor Giles has voted.
Councillor McCleary voted.
Everybody's voting.
Again. Press.
Sorry?
You have to press participants again, it'll pop back up.
I've done that and I pressed yes, but I don't know
cool.
if the Mayor can see that or not.
Yeah, I can't see. Where are we? Yes, I can.
Okay.
So that's carried unanimously. Thank you. Can I have someone move confirmation of the previous minutes?
Yeah, I can do that. Karen Steele.
Councillor Steele.
Councillor Giles.
Second to Councillor Giles. All those in favour, please indicate with your voting. Thank you. Councillor, yep, Councillor Brown. Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Are there any petitions, councillors? We have no deputations tonight. So dealing with tonight's agenda, coming out for discussion is 11.4.1. And I intend including 11.5.1, which is the tender, unless anybody wants that dealt with separately. Are there any other items, councillors, that you wish to consider in depth?
11.4.3.
I just have to look in my agenda, please, Mr. Mayor. Yeah. Sorry. Fine, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, can I have someone move the balance, please?
Just before that, Mr. Mayor, can you please clarify what are in for discussion? Is it 11.4.1, 11.4.3 and 11.5.1? Is that correct?
No, just 11.4.1 and 11.4.3.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Everyone is sweet with that? Can I have someone move?
Attention, Mr. Mayor, sorry, but is 11.5.1 coming out? No.
No,
Thank you.
no.
Sorry, I'm confused. It's all right.
Happy to move, Mr. Mayor.
Move the balance. Thank you, Councillor Hayward. Is there a seconder?
I'll second, Councillor Yip.
Councillor Yip, thank you. All those in favour, please vote yes. That's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We move on to 11.4.1 and Councillor Brown, you'll be blocked from the meeting by our governance team. And can I just have confirmation from our governance team that Councillor Brown is now blocked?
Councillor Brown is in the waiting room. You're ready, correct to proceed.
Thank you. So can I have someone move the executive recommendation, please?
I'll move it, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Smith, is there a seconder?
Yes, McCleary.
Councillor McCleary. Is there likely to be any debate, councillors?
No.
I'll put it. Please vote. Those in favour, vote yes. That's carried unanimously. Thank you. We move, is Councillor Brown out of the waiting room?
Councillor Brown has now joined us again.
Thank you. Welcome back, Councillor Brown. We move on to 11.4.3. You'll note
like to move,
there
I'd
is
like
an
to move option 3.
there is an executive recommendation now, Councillor McCreary.
Happy to move that executive recommendation.
Councillor Hayward, is there a seconder?
I'll second that, Mr Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor
can I
Smith?
ask a question, please?
Sure.
So with this amended executive recommendation, could through you, Mr. Mayor, the CEO give us an assurance that clearly says that no money will be spent in 6 years' time other than is decided by the council at the time?
I can ask the CEO to do that, Mr. CEO.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So unless council makes any decisions between now and that period of time, the way that it is written is that the requirement for any funding for the relocation of the facility will be subject to a council resolution at that time.
Thank you.
Just
Councillor
one more
Hayward?
question to clarify for me, Mr Mayor, which I would like to ask.
Yep.
Mayor,
Please.
if the council don't reenact the redevelopment clause, then and they can just go on with their 5 years, we don't have to put any money in, do we? They just stay there. If we don't action this clause, nothing happens. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's only if it is actioned and there's an alternative premises identified. So the fit out is part of the arrangement we have in place right now.
Just, I'm still a bit unsure, Mr Mayor, I'm sorry. But
Well, I'll ask the CEO to use his words, Councillor McCleary.
Through Mr. Mayor, the only obligation the city would have during that ensuing, during the whole lease period, apart from the initial capital expenditure up to $150,000, would be if there are any structural impediments occurring to the building. And as the landlord, the city would be responsible for making good the structural elements of the building.
My question would be, Mr Mayor, that the management of the museum wouldn't have the right to ask us to relocate them. Only we have the right to relocate them. Is that correct?
It's correct. The council of the day would enact the revocation, so the lease is revoked. This only happens if the city council of the day revokes the lease, which causes them to move.
That's my understanding. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up.
Councillor Hayward.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. As I think has been quite clearly pointed out, the real sticking point with this was the unknown factor about whether we were committing a future council to costs that we wouldn't be able to know. And through some negotiation with the management group, they always had the view, as I understand it, that it would be a city decision, but it just wasn't reflected in the I guess the documentation that was before us. Since then, they have now agreed to that added line, which makes it very clear that any financial decision will be made and endorsed by the sitting council of the day, which is exactly what should happen and would need to happen anyway, frankly, because it's not really possible for us to make commitments on behalf of a council for 2026 or 2027 or further beyond. So, and the other good news, of course, is that for the Motor Museum, is they will have had 5 years of demonstrating the value to the city of Bunbury, and the sitting council in 2026 or beyond will have some really good information to be able to base their decision on. I'd really encourage all councillors to support it. We already made a decision in principle. I know that there was some, I guess, tension around this part between the management group and the city, but in fairness, I think the management group were really keen to get this locked away so that there wouldn't be more difficulties. And I think that what we have now is a very, very clear understanding of how this is going to move forward. So I'd really encourage us all to support it. Thank you.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The
Speaker-
only
go.
comments I would make is that the reason I like this project is that it's not in competition with all the other businesses in the CBD. Rather, it's something that will attract people in that hopefully will then flow out to the other businesses. And I think 5 years gives a good look at what, and who knows what the future is. And we certainly need all the help we can get at the moment to get our economy and our people back to work and everything back on track. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker against.
Yeah, I'll speak against. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Yip.
Yeah, the first time I spoke against this was for the same reason, that we don't know much about the other proponents, and I would hate to vote for this without knowing what the offers were from the other two proponents, knowing that it could be something that the city really needs, especially now. And I don't think it was good form to not present the other two proponents at the same time. And I also have the sticking point not around the cost to the city, but the use of best endeavours. To me, that's best endeavours on whose opinion. If it's not best endeavours considered by the management group, then as usual, the city will come out looking bad if they consider that they've done their best endeavours and the management group doesn't. So I would like to rethink this one. I'm happy to look at it again if all three proponents are put on the table, if they're still around. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker 4. Councillor Hayward.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Apologies about that. Just having some trouble finding my little window. Look, again, I just think that for whatever reason, those other options weren't available or weren't as far down the line as this one is. We have something that is in front of us that can make a real difference. We've already dealt with this once in principle and agree with it. So again, I just encourage people to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Those in favour, please indicate through voting.
I'm just wondering, can anyone hear me at all?
Yeah,
No?
I can hear you, Councillor Steck.
I can hear you, Councillor Steck. I'm just waiting for the mayor to ask the people on the negative.
Yeah, according to this, Councillor Steck, you're now part of the meeting. I've asked people to vote yes. And at the moment, let me just get rid of that. At the moment, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 voting for. Those against, please indicate. So those voting against, that's a 1, 2, 3. Councillor Steck, can you hear me?
Mr Mayor, Councillor Steck has indicated that she's in the meeting, but she cannot hear. So I've actually just asked her to check her, hopefully check her settings, and indicated that everyone can hear her. And she's telling me via text that she's voting for, which probably doesn't count as a valid vote.
Okay, all right. So against, there is 1, 2, 3 against, which councillors Yip, McCleary and Steele. It is therefore carried. We okay, governance team? Yep. Councillors and officers, thank you very much for your attendance tonight. I declare this meeting closed at 5:44 p.m.
Bye.